So, you might have read thirsty in the title and asked yourself, is she talking about a need for hydration or something else? Well, the answer, my friends, is yes. Welcome to Fizzy Farm, where we'll be playing a full in-game year, not just 100 days, being unapologetically thirsty while pounding beers and going on dates with the singles of the valley. To spice things up, I've introduced a trio of mods that'll have us sipping on delicious coffees, exotic cocktails, and refreshing mocktails. And I've also decided to add the winery, which is a building that allows you to use casks outside of your basement. But the most obvious one is probably the gorgeous farm I'll be playing on. You'll find links to all the mods in the description below. Now, let's talk goals. In this first year, we're aiming high. I'll try to hand out at least 5 bouquets, actually participate in the Year 1 flower dance, and set up a shed filled to the brim with kegs. The winery and the island resort are both on my checklist, and I just have to see Harvey at the beach at least once, for obvious reasons. And by the way, one of my real-life goals has been trying to learn how to say "one beer please" in as many languages as possible, so I'll add the ones I've learned to this video. If your language is missing, or I totally mispronounce it, please let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear it. So get ready for some outrageously cheesy pickup lines and the occasional hangover, and let's get right into it. While clearing a little spot for my seeds, I got a first look at my cool new modded farm with this awesome view of the mountains. The rest of day 1 was pretty average. After making a chest, I headed to the general store and said hi to one of my favorite NPCs of this playthrough, the saloon owner, Gus. I gave Caroline a daffodil, bought a green bean, and took a look at Pierre's expanded stock with new forageables and trees from one of the mods I'm using to be able to make more drinks. Then I checked out the bachelors and bachelorettes and could tell that we would be fast friends very soon. I found one of the new forageables, a forest chamomile, and was relieved to realize I wouldn't have to buy them all from Pierre. Got my first level up in foraging that night. After watering my crops on day 2, I found more new forageables, pelican mint and cherry blossom petals, then met Willie, who was back from his fishing trip and gifted me his old fishing rod. I was thankful, but bought the training rod, to be able to get my fishing level up more quickly, since it's easier to get perfect catches with. I got the first copper ores in a treasure chest, so I knew I would have to see Clint outside my door tomorrow morning, who I had avoided up until now. After selling all of my fish to Willie before 5 p.m. rolled around, I went through town and said hi to more people. Ooh, why yes, Alex, I'm sure I'll find a bikini somewhere. Shane doesn't know it yet, but we'll be best friends. I found wild strawberries on the bushes and fished a bit more before heading home to sell everything I owned to be able to afford the fiberglass rod tomorrow. Got levels 1 and 2 fishing. Jump scare in 3, 2, 1. Day 3 was of course rainy, so I chopped more wood for another chest, and on my way to Willie to buy the rod, I found wheatberry mushrooms and lemon thyme at the bus stop. Hey Shane. Fine, be that way. I found glass shards in the steak spot, and when Mara refused to come out of her room to talk to me, I went to chat up the sisters. Hello ladies, care for a flower? Then it was time to fish for catfish at the river. It went really poorly for quite a while, but I did get lucky and fished up a chest with an ancient seed. Yay for me! By midnight, I had caught 2 catfish, then left to go look for more forageables, including a petite lemon and a forest lavender. Level 3 fishing. On day 4, I handed in the ancient seed to Gunther and got my plantable reward, but won't put it in the ground until I get a scarecrow. I took a look at who I still hadn't met yet and tried to find all of them, but Marnie and Vincent evaded me. Then I fished at the lake until my pockets were full and did some more foraging, once again finding something new, a marshmallow. I don't know if I'll need all of these forageables for drinks, but I can't wait to find out. That night, I got level 4 fishing and level 2 foraging. Marnie was standing outside my door on day 5 and told me this precious animal was looking for a home. So I took her in and named her Cosmo, like a good old cosmopolitan. Surprise! You get drink recipes from me, a former barista and bartender IRL. Please remember to drink responsibly. The day got even better when I saw my first parsnips were ready. The traveling cart lady wasn't selling anything outstanding, so I left to go find Marnie and Vincent. Once I found them, I headed to the now accessible mines, plunked down a chest and made it down to level 15, finding lots of copper and a magnet ring along the way before hurrying to the busy saloon on this Friday evening. The first party poopers were already leaving when I got there. Hey Gus, 1 beer please. There will be lots of gifting in this playthrough, so I won't mention it all the time, but know I'm doing my best to woo anyone I can. I couldn't afford a drink for myself, but I sat at the bar for a bit, knowing I would open one of my own someday. I said goodnight to Cosmo and got level 1 farming and level 1 mining. It was finally time to plant the ancient seed on day 6, and I made a scarecrow to keep it safe and sound. After watering everything, I fished at the lake for most of the day. Abigail was obviously playing hard to get when she showed off her impressive flute skills but refused to talk to me. Once I got bored of fishing, I just walked around town, rummaging through trash cans and picking up any forageables I could find. I hit level 5 fishing and chose the fisher perk. Louis got a parsnip for his birthday on day 7. After selling most of my crops to Pierre, I bought enough parsnip seeds to have 400 G left over, which just happens to be the amount you need for a beer at the saloon. The traveling cart disappointed me again, so I just foraged for a bit, finding a petite lime and some spring onions. Una birra per favoricas. Hey Shane, look what I have! I spent the rest of the night chopping trees and scything fiber on the farm, which netted me 12 more mixed seeds to add to my little field of crops. I had reached level 3 foraging, which meant I could now make tappers. Tappers are great because they give you oak resin, which you need to craft kegs to make booze. It was raining on day 8, so of course I had to go fish for catfish at the river. My haul wasn't too shabby, and when I used up my last piece of bait, I just looked for more forageables. I'll admit, all of these new things added by the mod are giving me an advantage to quickly up my foraging level, but of course that also means there are many more things I'll have to cook and ship for perfection, so I think it's a fair trade-off. Plus, it won't necessarily give me a monetary gain, since I don't want to sell them, just in case they're important for any drinks in the future. That night, I got level 6 fishing and level 4 foraging. When I was making my way downtown on day 9, the mayor showed me the derelict community center. I'm sure we can get this fixed up, Louis. Do you think we can build a bar in here? I made sure to take a look at the scroll in the foreign language before I left to hand out some daffodils. What's kickin' chicken? What's cooking it lickin'? Hey Penny, check out my fishing skills. Not bad, right? The mountain view on my farm does not get old, and after chopping some trees on my farm, I enjoyed a nice beverage overlooking the valley, before heading to the lake to fish for the night. Hey Sebastian, check out my fishing skills. Not bad, right? The wizard sent me a letter inviting me to come see him on day 10, so after watering my crops and planting some rice shoots I had gotten while fishing, I paid him a visit and was 3 sheets to the wind on his potion. What kind of moonshine did you put in this, Phasmodius? Vincent got a wild strawberry for his birthday, then I donated all of the forageables to the community center. I remixed the bundles, but was disappointed to see I didn't get the brewer's bundle. Oh well, less drinks I have to share with others. I spent the rest of this lucky day in the mines and got a wood club on level 20, since I've remixed the mine rewards as well. A nice upgrade from my rusty sword. Level 2 mining and level 1 combat. All of the parsnips were ready to be picked on day 11, and after watering the rest of the growing crops, I went straight back to the mines. Thanks to the very pleased spirits, there were plenty of ore nodes, and I crafted my first furnace to start smelting some bars. The dark floors were also a breeze, considering I didn't have a glow ring yet. Every gem I found was bringing me one step closer to gaining Abigail's and Emily's affection, and in the end, I passed out on level 44. Level 2 farming and level 3 mining today. Tomorrow I'll need lots of money for strawberry seeds at the egg hunt. So after crafting a second furnace and watering my crops, I shipped most of the fish and parsnips I had, brought a few knickknacks to the community center, then sold more fish to Willie and repaired the bridge on the beach to get access to the forageables. I also had some donations for the museum, getting cauliflower seeds as a thank you from Gunther. The traveling cart lady was selling spangles, and I couldn't resist buying one for Caroline. Salut Gus, une bière s'il vous plaît. He was also selling a salmon dinner, one of the very few things Alex loves, so I bought one. Here, Shane, don't be such a grouch. I also bought 2 Joja Colas, one for Sam and one for me. I'm a frugal drinker at the moment. I was able to harvest some potatoes and cauliflowers on day 13, then prep my farmland for strawberries, making sure to leave some room for future sprinklers. At the Egg Hunt Festival, I had 7,500 G to spend on 75 strawberry seeds. Then I made my rounds, talking to everyone to get my friendships up. Hey Louis, do you think we can incorporate eggnog into this get-together next year? After winning the egg hunt and putting on my shiny new straw hat, I quickly handed in a cauliflower to the community center, finishing the spring crops bundle and getting 20 speed grows. Then I used them to fertilize my seeds, guaranteeing me a third harvest for 20 strawberries. It was raining on day 14. I used the bug meat from the mines to craft some bait, gave Caroline her favorite flower, then stood creepily outside Haley's door to give her a birthday daffodil. At some point, I decided to play it cool and sat down on the couch, but didn't have to wait much longer. Hey girl. Then it was time for more catfish fishing. I can't count the amount of times I was running after the bachelors and bachelorettes on this save file. Shane, you're always thirsty. That's why I like you. Got level 7 fishing that night and earned a nice chunk of change from my fishing haul. I watered my thirsty strawberries on day 15, then treated myself to a backpack upgrade, found cookies in Evelyn's trash can, and asked Clint to upgrade my axe to copper. Back in the mines, I was trying to get lots of ores and get down to the gold levels as quickly as possible, since you need iron, gold, and refined quartz to make quality sprinklers, which are unlocked at level 6 farming. There was a silver saber in the chest on level 50, which doesn't do nearly as much damage as the lead rod I had gotten from a special slime a few hours ago. But the slow swings were killing me, so I decided to switch to it. Passed out on level 54, reaching level 2 combat and level 4 mining. The rice was ready to be harvested on day 16, and since the spirits were very pleased, I headed straight for the mines again. Salmonberry season had started yesterday, so I was able to pick lots of them for energy on my way there. I immediately got my first dwarf scroll as a drop from a bat and found a glow ring in a crate. Floors 54 and 58 were both infested, which slowed my progress down quite a bit. And on level 59, I was so mesmerized by the huge amount of crates and barrels that I didn't realize how late it was getting and passed out right next to the ladder. Whoopsie. Level 3 combat. My axe was finished upgrading on day 17. After picking it up, I got Clint to open the few geodes I had and donated some gems and artifacts to Gunther. I had a copper, iron, and gold bar for the blacksmith's bundle, which unlocked the bulletin board. Unfortunately, there were lots of difficult bundles, including the red cabbage for the dye bundle and 3 apples for the fodder bundle. Then it was back to the mines. A special slime dropped a magnet ring for me, and I got an iron edge from the chest on level 60. Once I had reached floor 70, I tried to make it back to my bed, but passed out on my way there. Got level 4 combat. The 30 spring seeds from the community center were finally planted on day 18, and when I handed Caroline a daffodil, she was at 2 hearts. Of course, I raced to her tea room and watched one of the best cutscenes in the whole game. I don't even like tea, it just tastes like hot water to me, but this always makes it look amazing. I was loaded with gems from spelunking in the mines and completed the treasure hunter's bundle, unlocking the vault. Hey Haley, I lost my phone number, can I have yours? What's up honey, did the sun come out or did you just smile at me? Leah, I think I must be in a museum because you are truly a work of art. After taking advantage of this last day of salmonberry season, it was back to the saloon. Moin Gus, 2 Bier bitte. 1 for the birthday girl Pam and 1 for Shane, just because he's a cutie. Caroline had sent me her wonderful tea sapling recipe on day 19. 4 more cauliflowers were fully grown, and after replacing them with mixed seeds and watering everything, I decided to clean up my farm for a bit. Look at this cool feature of the modded farm. It comes with its own little warp obelisk to get home quickly. It was a Friday, so you know I hit up the saloon. Hey Gus, ein Öltag. This is for you, Shane. I even had enough gold to buy myself a nice cup of coffee and wanted to join Demetrius and Robin on the dance floor, but I immediately scared them off when I broke out my dance moves. I tried to play it off and continued to dance for a bit, but quickly sat down because it was honestly kind of mortifying. On my way home, this onion popped out of a dig spot. I had reached level 3 farming as well as level 5 foraging and chose the Gatherer perk. Day 20 was a lucky day, so after picking my first 20 strawberries and giving all of my crops a sip of water, I made a beeline for the mines. Once I had made it to level 80, where I found a pair of Firewalker boots in a chest, I took a quick break from my ore gathering to sell my old weapons and rings to Marlin, to be able to afford a birthday beer at the saloon for Shane, who was starting to warm up to me. I said hi to everybody, but didn't have time to stay, because I wanted to get on the gold grind. Unfortunately, I realized my regular pickaxe needed 8 swings to break gold nodes, so I decided to get the copper upgrade tomorrow. But I still stayed to harvest fiber for tea saplings and found 3 fire quartz. I got level 5 mining and went with the miner perk to get an extra ore per node. The rest of the strawberries were ready for harvest on day 21, which put me over the threshold to level 5 farming. I made sure to keep the gold quality ones for gifts for Maru, then crafted my first 10 tea saplings. After another fruitless traveling cart visit, I found this pretty meringue mushroom and handed in a fire quartz to the community center, finishing the boiler room. Clint cracked open my geodes and agreed to upgrade my pickaxe to copper, and Gunther was happy to get more donations for the museum and gave me some summer seeds as rewards. The rest of the day was spent fishing for eels and catfish. The Junimos repaired the mine carts, and I chose the tiller perk. Thanks to the strawberries and tea saplings I shipped, I was basically rich. Demetrius asked if he could do a science experiment on my farm on day 22. Of course, I said yes and asked for fruit bats. I was curious to see if they like to get drunk on fruit juice, which was kind of what I was planning on doing with their produce, but apparently they don't, at least not according to Wikipedia. But I did learn that they're slow at reproducing and some of them are threatened by extinction. I'm doing my part. Free love on Fizzy Farm. I crafted 2 more furnaces to up my metal bar output, then picked up this new forageable, wormwood, and realized that the bushes had cherry blossom petals you can pick. I asked Robin to build me a coop, finished the construction bundle at the community center, then continued to clear off more of my farm. There's this little spot in the bottom left that has hardwood stumps that respawn every day. Very handy. On day 23, I crafted 19 more tea saplings, then checked the mail and realized the flower dance was tomorrow. I refused to be shunned this year. Pierre bought my goods, and I reinvested the money into the final backpack upgrade. My copper pickaxe was ready, and I immediately asked for a steel axe upgrade. Then it was back to the mines. I found a bone sword in the chest on level 90, which was definitely much better than the iron edge I had been wielding. But it's pretty pathetic in comparison to the obsidian edge you normally get if you don't remix the mine rewards. I passed out at 2 AM without getting a level up. Youch, that means I'll barely have any energy tomorrow. More strawberries and cauliflowers were ready on day 24. Of course, I didn't finish watering everything before feeling exhausted, so I had to eat a few salmon berries to get the job done. Then, it was time to head to the biggest social event of the year, the flower dance. I bought the rare crow and tub of flowers recipe from Pierre, then put out my feelers to see if the bachelors and bachelorettes were digging me. Butter my butt and call me a biscuit, Shane agreed to dance with me. I practiced my dance moves with Haley, but I don't think it helped. But who cares? I actually had a dance partner for my very first year 1 flower dance.
Isn't that amazing?
Once I was back home, I used the little time left in the day to clear off my farm a bit more, and after picking up a single daffodil, I got level 6 foraging. On day 25, loads of strawberries and forageables were waiting to be picked. I smelted ores and quartz and crafted more spring seeds, which I turned into tea saplings to ship. This good luck day would be spent in the mines again. The enemies dropped lots of whole bars, even an iridium one, and I found a tempered broadsword in a barrel at the center of the spiral floor on level 99, which puts out more damage than the bone sword. When I got to level 100, I left the chest shut for the moment since there wasn't much time left in the day and I still had quite a bit of energy. In the end, I made it to level 105 before passing out. I got the coveted level 6 farming, as well as level 6 mining and level 5 combat that night, choosing the fighter perk. Day 26 was a great and very busy day. My new coop was ready, and much more importantly, the traveling cart lady was selling a very affordable red cabbage seed. Just in time to plant it in summer. I went to Marnie to buy chickens, but unfortunately, Shane needed help first. Oops, I might have contributed to that. From now on, he only gets non-alcoholic beer from me. But for all the responsible drinkers out there, I named one chicken Lady, like the classic white lady. Chicken number 2 was called Milk. And chickens number 3 and 4 were named Cuba and Libre. Pro tip, don't skimp on the ice. It makes long drinks much more enjoyable, because they stay fizzier the colder they are. I went to Clint to pick up my steel axe and paid him to upgrade my hoe to copper, then gave Pierre a birthday green bean, not passing up the chance to hit on anyone I could find along the way. I put Robin to work again, this time on a barn, then tried out my new steel axe for a bit, getting rid of some of the big logs on the farm. I celebrated this very successful day at the saloon, getting Shane a noni beer, Leah a salad, and myself a coffee. As busy as day 26 was, day 27 was much more chill. I spent all day on the farm chopping trees, scything weeds, and getting rid of rocks. Don't ask me why I hadn't crafted sprinklers yet, I couldn't tell you. I went to the saloon again to hand out some gifts, including a birthday aquamarine for Emily. I also took a look around the secret woods, and sadly there were no morels, but there was this new forageable called sweet basil. Got level 7 foraging that night. The last day of spring was spent getting ready for summer. I crafted and shipped 20 more tea saplings, harvested my last round of strawberries, and finally crafted sprinklers. After saying hello to my deliciously thirst-quenching chicks, I picked up my copper hoe from Clint and said hi to all the pretty boys I saw. Hey Elliot, do you like Star Wars? 'Cause Yoda only one for me. Alex, if you were a taser on Star Trek, you'd be set to stun. The traveling cart lady was selling a coffee bean, a very important crop for my future endeavors, so I bought it and planted it right next to my ancient fruit. Other than that, I decided to set up a small tapper farm right here. Summer is a time for pina coladas and any other drinks with little umbrellas in them. To be able to afford that someday, I'd have to get rich, so I siped my dead crops, planted my precious red cabbage right next to my scarecrow, and set up another small crop area down here. Pierre sold me 3 pepper seeds, 3 tomato seeds, 24 hop starters, 3 corn seeds, a sunflower, spangle, and poppy, a couple of melons, and 164 blueberry seeds. After planting them all, I still had some open-tilled spots, so I put down some mixed seeds. The only other thing I did was put tappers on the trees at the bus stop. You can never have too much oak resin. On day 30, I marveled at my sprinklers, then pet my now fully grown chickens and picked up their first eggs. A new season brings new forageables to look for, and besides the vanilla ones, I also found the new ferngill tea leaf and cinder sap cilantro. The summer forageables bundle was quickly finished and rewarded me with 30 summer seeds. I spent the majority of the day in the mines looking for copper ores and smelted through all of it that evening. Making tappers really eats away at your copper reserves. While walking into town on day 31, I found a honey fungus mushroom and wild raspberries growing on the bushes. Clint opened my geodes and I was able to donate many new things to Gunther. Then I treated myself to a copper watering can upgrade. I took 10 eggs to the community center and handed them into the home cook bundle, and after commissioning a silo from Robin, I decided to get to the bottom of the mines today. There were some crystal shoes in the chest on level 110, and since I had drained quite a bit of my energy, I went to get the star drop on level 100. The taste reminded me of aspirin, any thirsty person's best friend. Made it to the bottom by the end of the night and passed out next to my mining chest. Level 7 mining. I started day 32 by crafting a few lightning rods, since I saw it would be storming tomorrow. The fruit bats had already been hard at work, and I crafted 4 mayo machines for my coop. I thought about crafting the brew station and cocktail bar, 2 of the new crafting recipes added by the mods I'm using, but decided against it for now, since I don't really have a lot to work with at the moment anyways. As you can see from the recipes, I'll need lots of stuff, so my thirstiness will have to be limited to the bachelors and bachelorettes for the next few weeks. And I was very happy to see that my advances were starting to pay off. Emily was already dreaming about me. Jas got a birthday sweet pea, and I found this adorable milky white mushroom before buying a cow named Daiquiri from Marnie. I leveled up in combat when slaying a couple of slimes in the secret woods, and ended my day in the saloon, where I flirted with Shane in the only way I know how. Hoi Gus, ein Bier else to believed. On day 33, some random wheat that had sprouted from my mixed seeds was fully grown. I decided to fish for some of the community center fish and started with the wood skip in the secret woods, then picked up my copper watering can. I also found a red snapper in the ocean and tried to get a sturgeon at the lake, but it didn't bite. At least I pulled up this cool treasure chest with a strange doll and a diamond in it. The saloon was pretty empty despite it being a Friday, but it didn't stop me from having a drink with Harvey, Leah, and Emily. Cześć, Gus. Piwo po proże. That night, I got level 8 fishing. My first ancient fruit and hot peppers were ready to be picked on day 34. Harvey, I think there's something wrong with my eyes. I can't take them off of you. I bought 20 wheat seeds, then took some bits and bobs to the community center, completing the rare crops bundle with my ancient fruit. Hey Sebastian, is it hot outside today, or is that just you? I spent the rest of the day in the mines looking for iron ore and dust sprites. Progress was a bit slow, but I did get another coffee bean, which is always great. I've also installed a coffee mod that we haven't seen yet, because you get the recipes in the mail from getting more hearts with various villagers. After picking a few radishes that had sprouted from the mixed seeds and replacing them with wheat, I checked the traveling cart in vain. That was fine though, because it meant I had enough money to buy a milk pail and 2 more cows. Chardonnay, and brandy. Then I spent the better part of the day fishing at the river to try to get a Dorado, but it just wouldn't take the bait. I abandoned that mission at some point to sell my stockpile of strawberries and fish instead of an oak resin farm at the railroad. This is always a crucial step in making as many kegs as possible. I passed out while putting down pathing, but I was as good as done. After petting my new cows on day 36, I got to do one of the best things of any playthrough, going to Robin's and paying her to build a horse stable. Thanks to all the strawberries I sold yesterday, I even had enough money left over to buy the iridium rod and a trap bobber. Then I fished at the ocean and caught a tilapia, a pufferfish, and a tuna, 3 fish needed for the community center, as well as the legendary crimson fish. I also got a super cucumber, my go-to ingredient for the first luau. I was able to finish the ocean bundle at the community center, and when I went to give everyone's favorite bartender a birthday orange, he told me the saloon wasn't doing well financially. I knew Pam would be just as worried as I was, and she willingly paid her tab. Then I spent the rest of the evening chopping more trees on my farm and got level 8 foraging. A few more crops were ready on day 37, including a sunflower needed for the community center. Daiquiri was fully grown and ready to be milked for the first time. I put some tree fertilizer on my mini tree farm, seeing that the first tappers were already full of oak resin. Then it was back to the mines for copper and iron, where I also got a second ancient seed, a third dwarf scroll, and another coffee bean. I reached level 7 farming and was so close to being able to make kegs. Day 38. The red cabbage and my first coffee plant were fully grown. I planted the second ancient seed and a few coffee beans, then found my new horse. His name will be Hugo, like a Hugo Spritz. I picked up a new mushroom in the backwoods called a chicken of the woods. Gross. Here, birthday girl, I bet you're twice as sweet as any birthday cake. I fished at the lake until I had a sturgeon in my pockets, then went to the community center to finish the lake fish and exotic foraging bundles. The first maple syrups were ready at the bus stop, then I spent the day smelting bars and clearing off more debris and trees on my farm. It's so funny how the color of the mountains abruptly changes. Level 9 fishing. Day 39 was luau time. This get-together is always important to get your friendship up with everyone, and even more so for me in this playthrough. The way to a person's heart is through their stomach. I did my usual sweet talking and added the super cucumber to the soup, which always works like a charm. The governor loved it, and I got the clicks achievement. You just wait, soon no one will be able to resist me. I got to see one of the most adorable faces outside my door on day 40. Gus taught me how to make jukeboxes, and I received a letter from Pierre telling me I could now buy bouquets. It's time to get more serious with some of the lovely ladies and lads of the valley. Emily also sent me a bolt of cloth, which is great for the artisan bundle. I was able to harvest quite a few veggies, including tomatoes and one of the best summer crops, hops. I put Gus' jukebox in my home, and although I play with the sound off, I turned on the Stardrop Saloon soundtrack. I bought a rare seed from the traveling cart lady, an ice cream from Alex, and asked Clint for a steel pickaxe upgrade. Pierre stole me an apple sapling, and while I was foraging some wild raspberries, I decided to go into the dark tunnel and put a battery into the lockbox. The saloon was packed, making it a perfect opportunity to hand out gifts and drink a nice coffee with friends and future heartbreaks. Another ancient fruit and lots of melons and more wheat were ready to be harvested on day 41. When I went to buy the path recipes from Robin, I felt like Demetrius could tell I might be a bit of a player. After handing in a few more random things to the community center, I swooned over Harvey's medical skills, gave Alex that salmon dinner I had bought weeks ago for his birthday, and gave him a shoulder to cry on while telling me about his daddy. I hope my intrigues won't send him spiraling in the future. It's not like I'm trying to be malicious, I just want to have a little fun, you know? The beach was full of forageables, including this new Fern Isle olive, but I just could not get my hands on a cockle, the last thing I could get to complete the crab pot bundle without actually having to buy crab pots. Other than that, I just fished for a bit for some extra income and crafted 10 more lightning rods for more chances at batteries. It was a very satisfying start to day 42. I was able to hand in 10 milks to the home cooks bundle since Cuba and Libre had also started lactating, and 2 of the blueberries were needed for the diet and summer crops bundles. I impressed Abigail with my gaming skills. Abby, you naughty little thing. Then sold my blueberries to Pierre and bought a bouquet and 30 more melon seeds. My pickaxe was finished upgrading, and I bought a second rare seed from the traveling cart and got Robin to upgrade my coop. Then it was back to more copper and iron hunting for those all-important tappers, as that night I reached level 8 farming and was finally able to make kegs. Emily came to my house on day 43 to tell me I could use her sewing machine, which brought up fond memories. Shane was shooting a commercial in town, and I felt some secondhand embarrassment while watching Clint fumble his lines. It's a good thing I don't have to worry about him as competition. He agreed to upgrade my pickaxe to gold, and I fished in the river until I got a Dorado. Obviously, Shane was in the saloon when he accepted my bouquet. We celebrated with a nice cold one. Again, he only gets naughties from me. Then I was itching to make the new crafting recipes the mods provide. I could only make the brew station and mocktail bar for now since I needed more hardwood. As you can see, the bars work like little kitchens with their own recipes, and I'll need to make the syrups, juices, and spirits with the brew station, which required lots of sugar, something I can't really afford right now. But someday. I made some cheese presses, as well as my first 4 kegs and 8 more tappers for my fully grown trees on day 44. It looks like I was so thirsty today that I chugged this Joja Cola instead of sharing it with Sam. Maybe he'll at least appreciate that I, too, enjoy me a nice cold drink. My small crafting session this morning inspired me to go buy a workbench from Robin when she was coming home from her weekly workout. I'll be going for a rustic aesthetic on Fizzy Farm, you know, like a cool old pub vibe. So I plan on using lots of wood and brick pathing. After putting some down, I set up a crafting station where I think I want it to go. It took me the rest of the night to move and organize all of the chests. On day 45, I kegged some coffee beans, took care of my farm chores, and planted some hardwood tree seeds. I'm gonna need as much hardwood as I can get. No, that's not a reference to my thirsty theme, just a literal fact. I picked up my gold pickaxe from Clint, then bought a pizza from the saloon, gifted it to the birthday boy Sam who was on his way to work, and finished the artisan bundle with a nice cheese. Then I went to Marnie and bought a duck that I named Screwdriver. If you know anything about a duck's anatomy, you know why. I was also able to get into her bedroom and picked up the mare's shorts. Here, Lewis, you sly dog. Surprisingly, I was low on stone, of all things, and needed a lot more to be able to get the next barn upgrade. So I went into the mines for the rest of the day. I saw dollar signs flash before my eyes when I came outside to my second blueberry harvest. I was planning on getting a barn upgrade with the stone from yesterday, but Robin wasn't home. So I made the snap decision to sell the blueberries to Pierre to purchase all of the vault bundles instead. Then I went back into the regular mines, collecting more stone and ores and hoping to find the last scroll I was missing, the green one, to be able to buy bombs from the dwarf. It didn't drop, unfortunately, but I set up the crystallarium I got from the community center with a jade and went to bed whilst the Junimos repaired the bus. Got level 9 farming, level 7 combat, and level 8 mining that night. My first self-brewed beers were ready on day 47. How satisfying. Now that I was at level 9 farming, I was able to craft a seed maker and turn my ancient fruits back into seeds to expand my crop. The traveling cart lady was selling a garlic, which was bought with the intention of turning it into a seed too, for Ginger Island. Pam drove me to the desert for the first time, where I picked up coconuts and cactus fruits. Sam and Haley are gonna love me faster than you can say gamophobia. And I found this weird-looking calico pistachio. I also fished for a sandfish and met Sandy, who works at the Oasis, where I bought some beet seeds for fall. It was a Friday, which meant I spent the evening handing out gifts at the saloon and enjoying a nice cup of joe. Haley asked me to open this jar for her, then I collected enough hardwood to be able to craft the cocktail bar. Soon I'll be a real mixologist. Thanks to my seed maker, I was able to plant 3 more ancient seeds on day 48, and I could try out my new brew station for the first time by putting 2 corns in, which is supposed to give you whiskey. Then I decided to attempt my first Skull Caverns run. I had a few diamonds, rubies, and quartz to trade for espressos, spicy eels, and bombs, but my inventory wasn't exactly ideal. Especially my weapon, the tempered broadsword, made progress very slow, since it took forever to kill any enemies. And I'm not gonna lie, this run wasn't anything to write home about. I had barely made it to level 42 before passing out and found about 2 whole iridium nodes. Oh well, at least I didn't die. Yay! My first whiskey was ready on day 49. The bachelors and bachelorettes just couldn't get enough of me, as you can see here. Sam asked me what kind of music his band should make and dropped an egg, which I took the blame for to make him happy. Emily and Haley were fighting until I played the referee, and Emily gave me a private dance. And Shane showed me his chicken project, meaning I would now have access to blue chickens. I took a quick break from being the center of everyone's attention to sell some stuff to Pierre, but then I was right back at it. Alex threw a football at me and was happy to hear me rooting for him in his sporty ambitions. I stumbled onto Sam and Vincent at the beach, who were worried about their dad fighting in the Gotoro Empire, and last but not least, Sebastian invited me to a future motorcycle ride. It's so nice when everyone is obsessed with you. Then I put 7 tappers on some fully grown oak trees up at the railroad and spent the rest of the day chopping trees in Cindersap Forest. Level 9 foraging. My only official boyfriend at the moment, Shane, invited me to a Tunnelers game on the morning of day 50. The day got even better when I opened a letter from Mr. Key, who had sent me 10,000 G in the mail, and I was able to harvest more blueberries. I was finally able to get a big barn upgrade from Robin, then handed out gifts while on my way into town to open geodes at Clint's and get a steel hoe upgrade. I was super excited to go to the game with Shane. Of course, not because I'm a big Gridball fan, but because this was where I would get my first smooch. Oh no, Alex is here too. Hopefully there's no kiss cam. Before heading to bed, I took a quick peek at my friendships. Normally, I'm just good friends with the old dudes at this point, but look at all the bachelors and bachelorettes at the top of my list. My goodness, I am so lovable. On day 51, I had another visitor, Leah, who gifted me a sculpture that showed her feelings about me. I honestly wouldn't mind always waking up to hot singles in my area waiting outside to give me gifts and take me on dates. I also received the coffee brewer recipe in the mail from Harvey, the machine I'll need to be able to make new coffee recipes. I checked, and once again, it requires more hardwood to make it. After doing all of my farm chores and having Abigail tell me I'm an interesting lady, is that code for salacious? I went into the mines to try to get the green dwarf scroll again. I even found an infested floor 61 I kept spamming, but no dice. Looking on the bright side, you could say I made pretty good progress on my Monster Slayer goals. Haley sent me these neat cacao pods on day 52, which I think I'll need for a coffee drink. Robin had finished upgrading the barn, so I immediately went to buy a goat and named her Sazerac. Here's another pro tip. If you use citrus peels for garnish, make sure to twist them right over your drink, so the essential oils coat the top of it and you get that nice scent every time you take a sip. Haley was distraught on the beach looking for her great-grandma's bracelet. I was her knight in shining armor when I found it for her and was rewarded with a little cuddle. After spending 3 hours fishing for an octopus that only bit once and escaped right away, I could at least call another ancient seed mine. Then I asked Robin for the final coop upgrade, picked up my steel hoe from Clint, and made the coffee brewer, although I'm not quite sure how it works yet. I couldn't identify any coffee recipes, but taking a look at my shipping tab, I assumed that these are all coffee bags and drinks. I did figure out that I can make tonic water with quartz. How exciting! Sebastian sent me some frozen tears to make cold brew on day 53, and Screwdriver had laid her first duck egg. After getting the next axe upgrade to gold, I caught the honorary legendary fish more commonly known as an octopus. Yeah, I bet my fishing tackle has worn out. That beast tore it up. Hey Leah, if you were a vegetable, you'd be a cute cumber. Haley, do you have a band-aid? I just scraped my knee falling for you. Alright y'all, guess how many green dwarf scrolls I found in the mines today? That's right, 0. Right before heading to bed, I found my finished tonic water. Looks like it can kill you. That's unfortunate. On day 54, I made a mayo machine for Screwdriver's eggs and 8 more kegs that I filled with hops. Then I bought a rabbit called Hanky Panky for my newly upgraded coop. I mean, can you think of a more fitting name for a rabbit? When I went to give Leah a present, I encouraged her to have an art show in town and overheard her talking to her unsupportive ex Kel. I get it, Leah. I'm not ready for this steady life either. Alex was feeling like an idiot, but I was able to cheer him up, and then I sold my blueberries to Pierre. I also learned something new about myself today. Apparently, I can play the mini harp. After buying some missing wood, I commissioned the final barn upgrade from Robin and finished off the successful day in the saloon with a nice cold beer. Got level 10 farming and obviously chose the artisan profession. Emily sent me a letter inviting me to her clothing therapy on day 55. That must mean she's at 8 hearts. The last round of melons were finished growing and I was able to turn another ancient fruit into 3 more seeds. Once I had finished my farm chores, I bought a bouquet from Pierre and felt kind of bad for a split second, since I'm normally never this promiscuous. But I handed it to Emily, making her my second significant other. Good gracious, I am so thirsty. Sorry, Clint, you're just no match for my irresistible charm, but thanks for upgrading my axe. I spent the rest of the day fishing, since I was pretty broke, and chopping trees because I was out of wood. Day 56 was the last day of summer, and I wanted to have as much money as possible for all of the new fall crops tomorrow. Of course, that meant more fishing. I was also low on copper, so I spent the last hours of the day in the mines until it was time for the dance of the Moonlight Jellies. I was just trying to say hi to Pierre when I accidentally bought this Moonlight Jellies banner. Oopsie. I hope Emily and Shane haven't been talking to each other. A gentleman never tells, right, Shane? Watching the glowing jellyfish dance across the screen, I was looking forward to the next thirsty half of the year. There was an explosion that night, which could only mean one thing. A meteor had landed on my farm. Sazerac was fully grown and started giving me milk, and I found this adorable Grampleton walnut forageable at the bus stop on my way to Pierre to blow all of my money on seeds. My haul included a yam, an eggplant, 15 pumpkins, 8 amaranth, 88 cranberries, and 22 wheat seeds. This wasn't nearly enough to fill up all of the sprinkler spots, even after adding the pumpkin, beet, and rare seeds I had lying around. So after marveling at the beautiful wonders of our galaxy with Maru, I dove into the mines to farm fiber for tea saplings. I was able to craft and ship 11 of them, and would use the gold to buy more seeds tomorrow. Robin and Lewis unveiled the special orders board on day 58. I ignored that for now to buy 84 more pumpkin seeds. George was asking for an emerald on the Help Wanted board, and I happened to have one in my pockets because it was Penny's birthday. Spoiler alert, I'll forget to get another one for her. That will make gaining friendship with her much more difficult. I finished the Fall Forageables bundle with a hazelnut and got 30 fall seeds. Ironically, I had too many seeds now, so I crafted 4 more sprinklers to be able to plant all the pumpkins. Quite a few oak trees had grown in at the railroad, so I crafted as many more tappers as I could and added them to my growing farm. At the end of the day, I took a look at the special orders board and didn't really like either of the quests, so I didn't take them on. Day 59 was a very lucky rainy day. I was torn between getting the walleye, which only appears on rainy days, and going to the Skull Caverns. I decided on the desert since I really wanted a galaxy sword and needed more ores anyway. It'll rain again for sure. Before heading out, I asked Clint to upgrade my watering can to steel, then waited for Pam at the bus stop. My trip was definitely worth it. Although it still wasn't close to what I can normally achieve in the Skull Caverns, I finally found my first prismatic shard, and at right after 1 a.m., I left to go get the coveted Galaxy Sword. That night, Chardonnay gave birth to the newest Fizzy Farm animal, a baby cow named Glowtini, a cocktail straight out of Disneyland. Level 9 mining and level 8 combat. Hanky Panky lost her first foot on day 60. After getting Robin to build a well, I fished for a tiger trout and a salmon at the river. Hey Sam, no wonder you like Joja Cola. You're so delicious. Can we talk about what is up with cockles not showing up on the beach? I hadn't found a single one and resorted to using a crab pot. I was able to finish the riverfish bundle in the community center and added the rabbit's foot to the enchanter's bundle, then handed out some gifts, including a belated birthday emerald to Penny. There was this strange St. Cannoli almond lying on the ground in the secret woods, and right before heading to bed, I caught a midnight carp from the lake. Day 61 was a Friday and Elliot's birthday, so I wanted to make sure to find him at the saloon that evening. The wheat and first eggplant were fully grown and replaced with fall seeds, and after picking up my steel watering can, Clint opened all of the geodes I had collected in the Skull Caverns. Gunther happily accepted my donations to the museum, and seeing the incomplete dwarf scroll collection motivated me to look for the green one again. Using the Galaxy Sword was a true joy, and made everything so much quicker. When it finally dropped, I sped off to the saloon, but Elliot was nowhere to be found. Hola Gus, una cerveza por favor. I got hammered and sat at the bar thinking about my life choices before trying to find him at the beach. Of course, he wasn't there either, and to add insult to injury, there was still no stupid cockle. Sazerac gave birth to a baby goat I called Slammer, like an Alabama Slammer, one of my personal favorites. Gunther was so pleased with my efforts for his museum that he gifted me the key to the sewers on day 62. My first bottle of gin made from wheat was ready, and funnily enough, it's better for you than tonic water. Not in real life, of course. Hey Slammer, you are the most metal baby goat I've ever had. I handed in the dwarf scroll, getting the dwarvish translation guide, and found a shrimp in the crab pot, which meant I could finally complete the crab pot bundle in the community center. Thanks to some pale ale money from Pierre, I was able to afford over 1 full stack of wood from Robin and ask her to build a shed. According to Gil, I only needed to kill about 100 more dust sprites to get the burglar's ring, so down into the mines I went, getting not 1, not 2, but 3 green dwarf scrolls. How insulting. Day 63 was another wonderful day of waking up to a pretty person outside my door. This time, it was Leah inviting me to her art show. The beets were fully grown, and I planted some fall seeds in their stead. The traveling cart was selling 2 winter forageables I needed for the community center, and it might have been a bit unnecessary, but I bought them. Then Leah asked me to help her get an apple from the tree. The forbidden fruit, so to speak. This precious wild carrot popped out of a dig spot, and the cindersap sage was another new forageable I found, before heading to the art show. I wish it were an option to actually buy one of the sculptures. I would buy the eggheads for my speakeasy in a heartbeat. I tapped 8 more trees, then put a rainbow shell into the box at the railroad, and 10 beets into the mayor's fridge. I also handed one into the community center, as well as the 2 winter forageables and a wine, finishing the enchanter's bundle. Day 64 would turn out to be one of the thirstiest days yet. My first cranberries and amaranths were ready for the picking. I sold most of them to Pierre and reinvested the money into 100 wheat flour. After completing the home cooks, dye, and animal bundles, a train was passing through and dropped one of the rarer finds in the game, leprechaun shoes. Their stats are bad, but it's neat nonetheless. The complete breakfast I got from finishing the home cooks bundle inspired me to go on a gifting spree. Well, hello, Alex. I see you've forgotten to put on a shirt today. That's fine by me. Leah, Haley, and Sam were all at 8 hearts and accepted my bouquets. I think Jesus might need to take the wheel soon.
Isn't that amazing?
Oh, hi Shane. Long time no see. Also, Robin had finished building the shed, so I got to move the kegs into it. Sam visited me to invite me to his concert in Zuzu's City on day 65. Sounds fun, I'll see you there. Robin agreed to upgrade my shed, and since it was raining, I got to fish for the walleye and completed the whole fish tank. While I was at it, I decided to fish for Fall's legendary fish, the angler, and after picking the wizard's prismatic jelly quest, it was off to the concert. It was slightly awkward since half of the concert goers were under the assumption that we were exclusive, but I just stood next to Penny to avoid any controversies. Once back in the valley, I said hi to Krobus, bought his recipes, and fished for the mutant carp in the sewers. I was super close to getting level 10 fishing, so I spent the rest of the evening fishing in the river. That night, the Junimos removed the glittering boulder and I chose the angler profession. The single yam I had planted was finished growing on day 66, which means I now only need a pumpkin to finish the pantry. Willie was flabbergasted about the missing boulder and gave me a copper pan to get the minerals out of sparkly water. Then I zoomed out and spent the whole day spamming floor 5 looking for the prismatic slime. It took quite a while, but I finally found it by 9:30 that evening. And while I stayed for a bit to collect more copper, I actually found an infested floor with a second one. Neato! After doing my farm chores on day 67, I crafted a sign and put my prismatic jelly on it before handing the real thing to the wizard. I want to have a little collection of all of these one-time items on signs for my speakeasy. The rest of the day was spent handing out gifts. Harvey, Sam's downstairs. I think he might need medical attention. But sure, finish your true crime podcast first. Penny asked me to help her clean up the trailer. Pam didn't like that idea, and honestly, I kind of get it. I would be mortified too. Maru, forget hydrogen. You're my #1 element. Hey Abigail, are you an alien? Because you just abducted my heart. Today was also the day I decided to get rid of the meteor, since I just didn't think it would work with the aesthetic I was envisioning, and where I talked to the dwarf for the first time and bought their rare crow and weathered floor recipe. I was very excited to get the Monster Musk recipe in the mail on day 68. And in even better news, my first pumpkins were ready. So after buying the Snowman Rare Crow from the traveling cart and paying for the first house upgrade from Robin, I finished the pantry with a pumpkin. That means I just need a snow yam for the crafts room and 3 apples for the bulletin board. Afterwards, I used a Monster Musk and worked on my dust sprite eradication goal. That evening, I took a quick break to go to the saloon. Ahoy Gus, jedno pivo prosim. I hung out with Sam, Sebastian, and Abigail for a bit, then went back into the mines, completing the dust sprite and bat monster slayer goals. The Junimos repaired the greenhouse overnight. Day 69 was a wonderfully thirsty day for a myriad of reasons. Reason number 1, the cranberries were ready again, and that just basically means more money to buy drinks and make improvements to my hilltop bar. Reason number 2, I was able to go shorty shopping again, since it was Abigail's birthday and the amethyst tasted so good that she was at 8 hearts and accepted my bouquet without question. Reason number 3, Gil forked over the burglar's ring, which meant I would be getting twice the amount of loot. And reason number 4, I went fiber farming for the rest of the day, and I don't know, having a lot of fiber is always good. Before heading to bed, I crafted a loom for the wool Hanky Panky was producing and a glowstone ring, since I couldn't make the iridium band yet. Check out my relationships on day 70. Bouquets galore. But I've got to catch them all, and there are still a few missing. A lot of pumpkins were ready to be picked, and I kegged some of them straight away. My apple tree had sprouted its 3rd apple, so Hugo and I took them to the community center and completed the bulletin board. Hey Alex, if you were a fruit, you'd be a fine apple. Haley was taking pictures with cows, and I'm starting to notice that her heart events are very random in comparison to the other bachelors and bachelorettes. Oh well, good for her to realize there's more to life than looks. I set up the greenhouse with 6 iridium sprinklers and planted some coffee beans, the few ancient seeds I had, and some winter seeds I had gotten from winter roots I put through a seed maker. I woke up in a house with a kitchen on day 71. Oh, Jody, why don't you just make a frittata or something? I know you have eggs at home. Sam dropped one a few weeks ago. Tons more pumpkins were ready, and I put some more tappers on the oak trees at the railroad that were growing in nicely. After opening the few geodes I had and not getting any new items to donate, I got Clint to upgrade my pickaxe to iridium. I went with Robin's resource rush quest, then drove to the desert where I found this cute calico vanilla forgeable, and handed Sandy a birthday sweet pea. Don't tell Emily, but I would date you if I could. I spent the rest of the day chopping trees and reached level 10 foraging, choosing the botanist profession, which will help with my inventory management. I wanted to show off some of my spirits at the Stardew Valley Fair on day 72. I didn't have enough to fill up the whole Grange display, but it was a good start. Just wait until next year. I ate a survival burger during the judging, as is my tradition, and wasn't surprised when Lewis told me I had won first place. I'm sad to report that I lost all of my star tokens when betting on green, so I played the fishing minigame a couple of times to bet again, this time successfully. Using the star tokens, I got the rare crow, pepper poppers, dried sunflowers, and the star drop that again reminded me of aspirin. The spirits were happy on day 73, so I got ready for a Skull Caverns run. Since I had a bit of time before Pam would be at the bus, I bought an auto grabber from Marnie because I was tired of milking my barn animals, and so I had just enough money to get the gold hoe upgrade. Right when I clicked, I realized I was 150 G short for a bus ticket. I automatically tried to sell one of my rubies to Clint, but of course he won't talk to you while he's working on your tools. And since it was a Wednesday, Pierre was closed. I'm an idiot. So instead, I turned some of the fully grown ancient fruits into seeds for the greenhouse, then learned how to make flute blocks from Robin. I found this forageable called a hardy rosemary, and dove into the regular mines to start working on Robin's quest to get 1,000 stones. More cranberries were ready for the picking on day 74. I finally crafted a few more kegs and added them to my upgraded shed. I feel like I'm constantly low on copper, which is why this is taking so long, but I have to have this whole shed full by the end of the year. Hello, Mr. Doctor. It's a good thing you know CPR, because you take my breath away. The complete breakfast I gave Alex put him at 8 hearts, which of course meant I ran straight to Pierre to buy another bouquet. Here you go, handsome. By this point, I really wanted to start decorating the farm and make it more bar-like. but my crops are right where I plan on moving my coop and barn, so I don't really feel like I can do much at the moment. But that will all change once it's winter and I can move everything to where I want it to be. Plus, there's still one essential building missing. On day 75, I went straight to Robin's to commission a winery, a building provided by one of the mods I've installed. You can put casks into it, just like your basement, but I haven't quite decided if that's the way I'll be using it. I wanted to give Sebastian a frozen tear when he invited me to play a round of Solarian Chronicles, which I actually finished with an A rating for the first time ever. Right after that, I was in the cutscene where Maru's robot electrocuted me. Don't worry about it, I'll be fine. Also, Leah decided this rainy day was the perfect time to surprise me with a picnic. I punched her ex, and I don't know if she liked that. Then I picked up my gold hoe from Clint, bought as much copper ore as I could, which honestly wasn't a lot, and spent the rest of the day in the mines gathering more copper and stone. Day 76 was a boring but necessary day. I kegged more pumpkins and wheat, smelted through lots of copper, crafted 11 more kegs to add to my keg shed, and 21 tea saplings to ship, and once again, spent the rest of the day getting more stone and copper. Yep, that's all that happened. On to day 77, which was much more exciting. The winter forageables had grown in, and there were loads of snow yams. Robin was also finished with the winery. It looks awesome, and is the perfect addition to my thirsty farm. Hugo and I then rushed to the community center, finishing the whole thing with this little white tuber. I think this is the first time I've ever finished all bundles before winter, and it feels good, man. After handing Robin a birthday goat cheese, I finished her resource rush quest too. Abigail was in the graveyard for some reason, and after she and I hid in the bushes for a bit, I found the mayor and Marnie in their own hiding spot. Don't worry, you two. I won't tell if you won't. I wanted to celebrate this wonderful day at the saloon, where Elliot and I drank to our friendship. Salut gas, oberite rock. Right before going to bed, I planted some melon and winter seeds I had lying around. I picked the Speedgrow Sweet Gemberry on day 78 and immediately took it to Master Cannoli in exchange for my 3rd star drop. The villagers were celebrating the restored community center in town, and I decided to ask Morris and Pierre to be reasonable, unlike I had been with Leah's ex. I quickly asked Clint to upgrade my watering can to gold, then sped off to the desert to start collecting more iridium. I need it for a bunch of stuff, including repairing Willie's boat. And I must say, the Skull Caverns are so much more enjoyable when you have a proper weapon. Got level 10 mining and chose the prospector profession, as well as level 9 combat. After putting some iridium on smelt, I swapped out my crystal shoes for dark boots I found during my run on day 79. My cranberries and some beers were ready, then I started putting down some pathing while waiting for the iridium bars to finish. Once they were done, I provided Willie with all the materials he needed to get me to Ginger Island. I went for Emily's rock rejuvenation quest, then found Maru in her kitchen, where I gave her a bouquet. Demetrius is going to kill me. I stopped Robin on her way to bed to ask her to build me a mill, which might actually come in handy for all the sugar I'm going to need for cocktails. I also used this opportunity to buy 2 stacks of wood from her. I used it to craft 4 more tappers, and wanted to put them on my oak trees when the wizard asked me to retrieve his magic ink from his ex. I have a feeling I'll be in a similarly awkward situation pretty soon. Since it was already pretty late, I decided to put that off for now. Instead, I finished off the day by crafting 5 more furnaces and an iridium band. The old Jojo Mart was struck by lightning that night. I forgot to change the day counter on day 80. After handing Emily all of the gems she had asked for, I picked up my gold watering can and did a geode opening session. Although I did have a few new things to donate, the museum's collection was still quite a ways away from being finished. In the sewers, I asked Krobus if he had heard anything about a dark talisman. He unlocked the bug lair for me, where I found it and fished up a slime jack. Wow, Alex, that's real growth for you. You should be proud of yourself. On my way to the witch's swamp, I found this crazy looking gentian root, then fished up a void mayo and a void salmon, and persuaded the henchman to move so I could grab the magic ink for the wizard. Don't do that to yourself, Rasmodius. He gave me access to his magical buildings, which would make nice additions to Fizzy Farm in the future. I had enough iron bars ready to craft 34 more kegs, which meant my keg shed was basically half full. Robin and Willie repaired the boat that night, so I knew exactly what my plans for day 81 would be. Emily sent me a sewing machine, and I picked and shipped my second sweet gem berry before packing my bags for my first trip to the island. My standard inventory always includes all of my tools, 1 or 2 chests, a slingshot with a few rocks, a melon, wheat, and garlic seed, and at least 1 sprinkler, which I forgot to bring with me today. Right when getting off the boat, I found another new forageable, a gem isle jasmine, then did the usual walnut run. I also made sure to chop down all the hardwood trees I could find, since I'm constantly out of hardwood. I found 2 whole dig spots on the island farm, but neither of them gave me a snake spine. After planting my seeds, I unlocked the farmhouse and was in bed by 2 a.m. It was nice to wake up in such a tropical place on day 82, but I still had a lot to do in the valley. After finishing clearing off the farm to maximize my chances for dig spots to spawn, Birdie handed me a photograph to help look for her late husband's keepsake. Then I sailed back to the mainland and came home to the last pumpkins ready for harvest. I started taking down any unnecessary sprinklers before asking Robin for the next house upgrade, having to fork over 50,000 G and 100 hardwood for it. Using the new sewing machine and a piece of ginger from the island, I tailored the forager's hat, a hat I fell in love with in my last playthrough on Drip Farm. I was feeling snazzy, so I headed to the saloon to hand out gifts and enjoy a delicious coffee, then spent the last hours of the day putting down more paths and adding some stone braziers to my greenhouse. Sam invited me to his house after dark on day 83. Ooh, that sounds like fun. And it wasn't just the affection of the villagers I was gaining. Cosmo also loved me. I was slowly but surely turning all of my pumpkins into juice for max profits, and had actually been planning on going to Clint to get the last axe upgrade and open some geodes, but I couldn't go due to the Spirits Eve festival being set up. So instead, I chopped down all the trees in Cindersap Forest, then cleared out most of the quarry before heading into the cave to get the golden scythe. At the Spirits Eve festival, I bought the recipe and rare crow, and after getting the golden pumpkin, I watched the skeletons with Sebastian and did some adult wrestling with Harvey before heading to bed. It was the last day of fall, and the final cranberry harvest was swiftly picked. I officially kegged all of the pumpkins, and went back to kegging hops. I wouldn't need any of the scarecrows or sprinklers anymore, and was looking forward to being able to move buildings and plan the layout of the farm. There were also lots of winter forageables in the greenhouse, which meant I had room to plant 13 more ancient seeds. I also planted all of the winter seeds that were left over, and was wealthy enough to buy some starfruit seeds from Sandy to put on the open spots. Then I set the plans into motion that I couldn't do yesterday. Clint opened my geodes, artifact troves, and golden coconuts, and I got super lucky with an early banana sapling. After asking for the iridium axe upgrade, Gunther took all of my new finds, then I went back to the island, where I put down some sprinklers and planted the starfruit seeds that hadn't fit in my greenhouse. Even though it was already pretty late in the day, I decided to go on my first volcano run, although I just barely didn't make it all the way through before passing out. It's a good thing I woke up on the island on day 85, because the weeds were getting dangerously close to my crops. After cleaning up, it was back to the valley. I took Demetrius's biome balance quest, then scythed down all of the dead crops. It took me quite a while, but I decided on a layout that would hopefully allow for a decent crop layout, and where the winery overlooked the valley. I also decided on this red, green, and brown color scheme. I'll have to see if I still like it come spring, when the world is less white. Afterwards, I commissioned a shed that I'm not quite sure what I want to do with yet, but I'll figure something out. Other than that, I gave Krobus a birthday horseradish and bought his star drop and a void egg, then started fishing for some river fish for Demetrius, including the legendary glacier fish. That night, I remembered Sam's letter and went to pay him a little visit. Oh my goodness, he's looking at his mom the same way he looked at me. I feel kinda yucky. A shadowy figure ran away from me on my way into town on day 86. After getting back my axe, I asked Clint for a copper trash can upgrade, since in my last 100 days, I learned that apparently a lot of people care about upgrading their trash cans. I'll try it out and see if I think it's worth it. I told Elliot that I like romance novels, then let Willie whisk me away to the island. In the volcano, I got a few more walnuts and found mermaid boots in a chest, then was able to enchant my sword at the forge, getting vampiric, which I was pretty happy with. I also forged a ruby into it for more damage, then rescued Professor Snail from the mushroom cave. On the morning of day 87, I found this gem seed cashew that looks more like a bell pepper before clearing out the dig site and had a few things to give Professor Snail, including a mummified frog I found in the jungle. Back on my farm, I saw that the shed was finished and asked Robin to upgrade it. And when I gave Linus a birthday coconut, I got the beloved farmer achievement. Damn right I am. At the end of the day, I was able to craft 20 more kegs and kegged lots of coffee and hops. My house was humongous on day 88. After taking care of my boozy animals, I decided I wanted to go to the Skull Caverns to gather as much iridium as possible. Thanks to all the coffee I had kegged, I was able to make 17 triple shot espressos, and I made sure to hit up the dwarf for some bombs before leaving. I started getting lots of secret notes, and also found my first dino egg, as well as a whole dino floor. I always feel kind of bad about killing these cuties, but I'll take good care of their offspring. On day 89, I decided to head back to the island. Hey Alex, do you play soccer? 'Cause you look like a keeper. I always find it a bit annoying to never be sure if you've collected all of the walnuts in the volcano. And right when you start to think that you haven't seen one for a long time and you've probably gotten all of them, another one pops out of something. At the end of my run, I was able to forge another ruby into my sword. Day 90 was a super bad luck day, but the contents of this dig spot suggested otherwise. A fairly quick volcano run gifted me with my first ostrich egg, and I was able to forge my third and last ruby into the galaxy sword. While I was at the forge, I decided to fish up the lava eel, the best fish to put in a fish pond for max profits. Then I tackled the dreaded Simon Says game, and with a little bit of cheating, meaning I looked at the footage, I finished it and was rewarded with 3 walnuts, having enough to open the resort.
Isn't that amazing?
The villagers are going to love me. They'll be able to sit here and relax and drink pina coladas. Of course, only if I'm not at my speakeasy to serve them. My greenhouse was full of fully grown melons and winter forageables on day 91. I think I made a good decision to put my kegging shed right next to the greenhouse. That way I won't have to walk too far to keg my produce. I decided to trade the small collection of jades I had amassed for staircases at the Desert Trader, then bought a couple of starfruit seeds from Sandy. Back in town, Clint handed me the copper trash can, then opened up my geodes. I had a few things for the museum and also got a fossilized skull for Professor Snail. My shed had been fully upgraded for a few days now, so I went to Robin to paint it to match the other buildings, and while I was there, I moved a few more things around and asked her to build a second shipping bin. Then I just finished up the Biome Balance quest, bought the largemouth bass at the traveling cart because I was too lazy to go fish for it myself, took a look at Pierre's spicy magazines, and had dinner with one of my many boyfriends and his unsuspecting mom. Day 92, my void chicken had hatched, and I named her Mimosa. That meant my incubator had room for the dino egg I had gotten a few days ago. It was the day of the ice festival, but the spirits were in good humor, so I wanted to go to the Skull Caverns instead. Before I dove in, I gave the Desert Trader 10 iridium bars in exchange for the Desert Warp Totem. My run went pretty well, netting me many more secret notes, a dino floor littered with dino eggs, and lots more iridium. I maxed out my last skill, combat, and chose the brute profession. On day 93, I mayoed all of the dino eggs I could, then went to Clint to open the new geodes and get the steel trash can upgrade. I had 3 more things to give to Gunther, and picked up his fragments of the past quest from the special orders board. Hey Haley, feel my shirt. It's made of girlfriend material. I officially kegged all of the hops left over from summer today, and besides 19 more kegs, I also crafted some lamps, fence posts, iridium sprinklers, and braziers. This is what my progress on the animal enclosure looked like by the end of the night. I'll continue working on the rest of the farm tomorrow. On the morning of day 94, I set up this furnace area, but I wasn't really happy with it, and the layout up here will change a few times by the end of the year. I created a path up to the backwoods right here, then grabbed a frozen tear to hand to the birthday boy Sebastian, boosting him up to 8 hearts. While I was there, I moved my buildings around a teensy bit more before buying one of each normal fruit tree I was missing, meaning not the modded ones, and a bouquet from Pierre. Also, Gus was selling salmon dinners I bought for Alex. Then Hugo and I snuck up on Sebastian to surprise him with the flowers. 9 partners in the bag, 3 more to go. The trees were put in the greenhouse since I'll need them to make fruit syrups, and I smelted more iridium before heading to bed. Day 95 was a super good luck day, so I obviously had to go to the Skull Caverns. Since it was also a Thursday, I got to trade 3 prismatic shards for a magic rock candy. Then I staircased down the first 56 levels. I got really lucky on level 90, finding the best secret note from Mr. Key, which meant that 10 floors later, I was given the iridium snake milk. By 2 AM, I had found 5 prismatic shards, over 450 iridium ores, and another dino floor, passing out on level 156. After marveling at my satisfying loot on day 96, I demolished the furnace area and moved my buildings around again. I don't know why I'm so indecisive, but even though the farm is quite big, with the way I have it now, I just barely have enough room for one of my standard crop layouts, and don't know if I want more. Plus, by this point I have decided I want to try to make the winery the bar, so I'll use the shed for other things. I also commissioned a fish pond and bought as much wood as I could. My oak resin was ready, and I realized that I would never have enough tappers for all these trees, so I decided to chop a few down. Although I couldn't afford anything, I decided to go to the saloon, hoping I might get some inspiration for Fizzy Farm, then found some cindersap cinnamon before going on a thirsty camping trip with Emily. I literally spent all of day 97 moving stuff around on my farm. Now the crafting and smelting station are in the middle of this upper area, and the brewing stations the mods add are in the winery, where I also put down some chests to store all of the ingredients I might need. The crop area is a tiny bit smaller than I usually make it, but I think it'll still work. Obviously, it's not finished yet, but I'm feeling good about my layout decisions. Day 98 was a Sunday, and I still needed to finish the fragments of the past quest, so first I headed to Ginger Island to mine the bone nodes. My crops were all fully grown, which incentivized the Gourmand Frog to give me 15 golden walnuts, and after selling Pier 27 tea saplings I crafted, I visited Harvey to give him a birthday coffee. His enthusiasm for the plane overhead was such a turn-on that I went straight back to Pierre to pick up a bouquet. Since I had taken all of the bone fragments I already had in a chest with me, I had enough to add to the drop-off box at the museum, but I still had to go into the mines to finish the collecting part of the quest with the monster musk. It didn't take long at all, and when I came back out, I found Abigail being swarmed by bats. She must have really liked my monster stench, because we smooched there and then. Elliot, stay right there. I'll go get you a gift. Just 2 seconds. Elliot? At the end of the day, I finished putting down pathing around my crop field, leaving a little room for a Junimo hut. I chose Willie's Juicy Bugs Wanted quest from the Special Orders board on day 99 before asking him to take me to the island. I decided to do a quick volcano run before the night market started, which was very worth it. I got 7 dragon's teeth and found a deluxe pirate's hat in a treasure chest, then picked my crops before heading back to the valley. At the night market, I made a beeline for the mermaid show, which always feels slightly scandalous. Got the pearl, then bought the Lupini painting to impress Leah. I also couldn't pass up the opportunity for a free coffee and bought some of the decorations before heading home. There, I picked and replanted starfruits and ancient seeds, kegged the starfruits, and shipped my pale ales and melon wines for a pretty penny. On day 100, I put a sturgeon into my new fish pond, then played around with some pathing at the top of the farm for a bit. But once again, I'm not really sure if it'll stay this way. My money was burning a hole in my pocket, and I wanted to get another iridium tool upgrade, but Clint wasn't there. So I put down some more paths before the night market started. Elliot and Penny are the last 2 singles I have to woo, and sadly, neither of them were at the night market, although Elliot was just heading through his door when I spotted him. I swear he's trying to avoid me, but I will make him love me. To console myself, I got into the submarine and did some fishing, getting all 3 of the exclusive fish, and before heading to bed, I broke up a brawl between the dwarf and Krobus, then reset my mining professions to be able to sell metal bars at an increased price. Clint actually decided to work on day 101, so after handing the wizard a birthday purple mushroom, I got to pick up my steel trash can and did my usual geode opening before selling him most of my iridium bars, and asking for the last hoe upgrade. I found Elliot hiding in the library, where I gave him a nice pomegranate. I saw that both he and Penny were missing over 1 full heart, so I also made sure to give her an emerald. All those wouldn't pass were eating through my wood reserves, so I used a lot of my iridium money to buy 4 stacks of wood before going to the night market. Hey Elliot, can I have your picture so I can show Santa what I want for Christmas? The rest of the night was spent in the mines, gathering bug meat for Willy. Ooh, another ancient seed. Don't mind if I do. On day 102, Alex invited me to the saloon, and I found out that I got to get Elliot a secret gift for the Feast of the Winter Star. Perfect. I also finally filled up the whole first shed with kegs.
Isn't that amazing?
And decided on this spot for a second crop area. Before laying down the pathing, I handed out some more gifts and felt slightly creepy while sitting in Penny's trailer, waiting for her to get home. Hey Penny, I'm no photographer, but I can definitely picture us two together. This is what the second crop field layout looked like at the end of the day, and up here, I'll make a little beer garden for my patrons, where they'll have a great view of the abrupt color changes of the mountains. Day 103 was extremely interesting. First, Maru showed me her sentient machine. No sir, no funny business going on here. Bye Marilda. Demetrius will never let Maru date ever again. Hey Sebastian, how's it going? What do you mean Maru has the same shade of lipstick? After I cleared out the quarry and filled it with kegs, I added 10 more tappers to the oak trees at the railroad, so they were now finally all tapped. Then Alex bought me dinner at the saloon in our own little private room, and it was more than a little awkward to have one of my girlfriends serve us. Gus is probably trying to talk her out of being with me. Alex, you've got a little bit on your face, bud. Then, to top it all off, Sebastian took me to this makeout spot overlooking Zuzu City. I tried to ignore my hurting chapped lips while I ate the trash cookies I had found to get rid of the bad feeling in my stomach. Oh god, I've become a sibling smoocher. Day 104 was a bit more civilized. The cutest little dino hatched, and I decided to name her Grasshopper. My star fruits were ready, and after kegging them and planting more seeds, I picked up my hoe and gave Evelyn a birthday diamond. I still had to complete Willy's bug quest, and although I didn't feel like doing the collecting part today, I took 100 bug meats I already had in a chest and put them in the barrel outside his shop. It was thrilling to see Gus on the island, and of course I couldn't pass up the opportunity to get the Gold Star wine for the missing bundle and the tropical curry recipe and a pina colada for myself. After putting on my pirate hat, I played 3 rounds of darts with the pirate and had a celebratory mead afterwards. Day 105 was a rainy day on the island, and since I had already gotten 2 gems from the gem birds, I was able to guess the second half of the puzzle in the jungle, netting me 5 more walnuts. I used them to unlock the island trader. Nothing much else happened that day. I was able to pick up the fully grown winter forageables on my farm, which I just turned back into seeds and replanted, put a lava eel into my new fish pond, then made a monster musk to get as much bug meat as possible, finishing Willy's quest at midnight. I crafted 2 more crystallariums to triple my jade production on day 106, and while doing my farm chores, I saw that my very first starfruit wines were ready. Who doesn't like expensive booze? Gus wanted to make his famous omelet, so I agreed to take on his quest, then headed to the island where I found out I still needed 7 walnuts to be allowed through the door. I fished up the spine of the fossilized animal before finding a few more walnuts during a volcano run, then panned up the fossilized tail. Now I just need to hand in the skull that I have lying in a chest on my farm at home. I went through the volcano yet again on day 107, since I still wasn't quite sure if I had found all the walnuts, even though I didn't find any this time around. Plus, I still need to find a fossilized bat, which can drop from any of the rocks. I didn't get that either, but at least I had enough bones and cinder shards to get the banana pudding and deluxe retaining soil recipes from the island trader. On my way back to Fizzy Farm, I saw Penny and gifted her an emerald, getting her up to 8 hearts. Unfortunately, Pierre's was closed, so I'll have to give her a bouquet some other day. Then I spent the rest of the evening adding more pathing to the farm. I bought not 1, but 2 bouquets on day 108. Of course, Penny got one of them, but I was also positive I would be able to put Elliot under my spell by the end of the year. After opening geodes at Clint's, I sold him most of my valuable iridium and gold bars, then bought 600 each of copper and iron ores, and asked for a gold trash can upgrade. I found Penny and the kids in the forest, who asked me if I had a boyfriend. Yeah, like 6 actually, but don't tell Penny. Then Marnie sold me a second auto grabber and heater for my poor freezing coop animals. It was raining on the island, and I knew I would find the mermaid there, so I set up the 5 flute blocks for 5 golden walnuts. I had also remembered to bring the skull with me, getting 5 more and another banana sapling. That meant I had enough walnuts to construct the farm obelisk and enter Key's walnut room, where I picked the prismatic grains quest. Before heading back to the mainland on day 109, I scoured my island farm for dig spots to no avail, then used a prismatic shard I had gotten from one of my volcano runs to enchant my pickaxe, getting the best one straight away, the Swift enchantment. It was the big day, the Feast of the Winter Star, the social highlight of the winter season. After saying hi to everyone, of course I once spiced mead, Emily, do you even know me? I gave the apple of my eye, Elliot, a gold star duck feather. Robin gave me a great gift, 25 hardwood. I thought about sitting down next to someone before calling it a day, but I realized no matter where I went, I could get into a prickly situation with the rest of my lovers, wondering why I'm not sitting next to them. I had a crisis of conscience. Should I settle down soon for the warmth of a genuine loving embrace from a true one and only? Nah. That night, I used the hardwood Robin had given me to craft some more bar machines for my cocktails, and even made my first lemon and lime juices. The first caviar was ready on day 110, meaning I was able to complete the missing bundle at the decrepit Joja Mart. Also, Elliot invited me to his book reading. Ooh, sounds intriguing. After handing in the caviar, Gold Star wine, Dino mayo, Gold Star void salmon, and a prismatic shard to help the last little Junimo reunite with their family, I tried to find Clint to give him a birthday topaz, but he was nowhere to be found. I assumed he was on the island, and was hopeful I would get to see Harvey there, but no. At least Elliot was there enjoying the sun, so I got to hand out my very last bouquet. Gus, please keep this on the down low. I have now officially wooed every single person I could, and look forward to seeing the rest of the 10 hard cutscenes. I spent the rest of the day in the volcano, where I found the bat, which means now I'm just missing the last dang snake spine. That night, the Junimos turned the old Joja Mart into a movie theater. On day 111, another batch of starfruit wine was ready. After selling them to Pierre, I picked up my gold trash can from Clint and bought 500 pieces of coal, copper, and iron before the inflation hits in year 2. Similarly, I bought 2 stacks of wood from Robin, then asked for the final house upgrade, which would add a wine cellar. When I arrived on the island, I was blessed with the sight of this hunk of a man. Hello, Harvey. Have a coffee.
Isn't that amazing?
It was a bit of a struggle, but I was able to pull enough things together to finish the yellow, orange, purple, and blue things for the prismatic range, but was missing 20 green and 50 red things, and was appalled to find out that cinder shards and magma caps don't count for red. In which reality are these orange? Before heading to bed, I enchanted some of my tools, getting bottomless on my watering can and shaving on my axe after 3 tries. It was day 112, the last day of the year. I said hi to my boozy flocks before adding 24 more kegs to the quarry. Then it was time to listen to an excerpt from Elliot's romance novel. Most people had left by the end, which makes me think he skimped on the steamy parts. I walked into what could have been a disaster on the island, but thank goodness the boys all played it cool, and none of them asked for a kiss in front of the others. Key's prismatic range was completed with 20 more fiber and 50 explosive ammo, and I used the gems to get the key to the town and 3 mushroom tree seeds. Then I spent the last hours of the day on Fizzy Farm, trying to make it as beautiful as possible before the new year rolled around, by adding more pathing and these signs that will display little knickknacks, just like in your favorite dingy pub. Well, that brings us to the end of our exhilarating first year at Fizzy Farm. It's been a roller coaster of emotions, from heartwarming moments to a touch of overindulgence, but that's honestly what I was hoping for. And fear not, our journey is far from over. Of course, we still have a lot of the drink making to get into, and I can't wait to see what my 12 main squeezes have in store for me when they find out what I've been up to. If you have any suggestions for goals for the next 200 days video, definitely let me know in the comments. As always, thanks a ton for watching and have an amazing day. Bye y'all.